The clock strikes midnight, and the streets of Norwood Park, a quiet Chicago suburb, are wrapped in stillness. In the 1970s, one man stood out in this tight-knit community, a jovial contractor who, through lavish block parties, rallied support for local politics and brought smiles to children as Pogo the Clown. Neighbors saw him as the heart of their neighborhood, a man who could light up any room with his booming laugh and generous spirit. But behind the painted smile, behind the walls of his ordinary home, John Wayne Gacy hid a darkness so monstrous it would scar the nation for decades. This is Crime O'Clock, and tonight, we peel back the layers of deception to uncover the hidden horrors of the killer clown, a predator who turned trust into terror. If you're ready to step into this chilling tale of a man who lived a double life, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a comment to join the Crime O'Clock community. Your support keeps our clock ticking, delivering stories that demand to be told. Let's unravel the darkness together. John Wayne Gacy. His name alone carries a weight of dread, a reminder that evil can wear the most disarming face. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy took the lives of at least 33 young men and boys, most buried in the crawlspace beneath his house at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue. To the world, he was a successful businessman, a Democratic Party volunteer, a clown who entertained at children's hospitals and parades. But in secret, he was a calculating killer, targeting the vulnerable, runaways, drifters, teens seeking work, with ruthless precision. Tonight, we'll trace his journey from a troubled boy in Chicago's North Side to a predator who evaded suspicion for years. We'll explore the early signs of his darkness, the double life he perfected, and the investigation that finally exposed his crimes. We'll delve into the mind of a man driven by control and deception, and we'll honor the victims. Young men like Robert Piest, John Butkovich, Timothy McCoy, and so many others whose dreams were stolen. At Crime O'Clock, we tell these stories to remember those lost and to seek the truth behind the mask. So, settle in and listen closely. The clock is ticking, and this is the story of John Wayne Gacy's hidden horrors. March 17, 1942, Chicago, Illinois. John Wayne Gacy Jr. enters the world as the second child of John Stanley Gacy and Marion, a couple of Polish and Danish descent living on the city's north side. Their home on North Marmora Avenue is a modest brick bungalow, nestled in a Catholic neighborhood, filled with the sounds of church bells and children playing in the streets. To outsiders, the Gacys are an ordinary family, working hard to achieve the American dream in a bustling post-war city. But inside the home, a storm brews. John Sr., a machinist, is a proud but troubled man, his alcoholism fueling unpredictable rages. He rules the household with a heavy hand, often targeting his son with verbal and physical abuse. He calls young John dumb, useless, a disappointment compared to his sisters, Karen and Joanne. Marion, a devoted mother, tries to protect her children, but her gentle nature is no match for her husband's temper. For young John, childhood is a battleground, a place where love is overshadowed by fear and a desperate need to prove his worth. Gacy is an overweight, sickly child, plagued by a heart condition that causes fainting spells and seizures. These health issues keep him indoors, away from the rough-and-tumble games of other boys. At school, he's an easy target for bullies, mocked for his size and shy demeanor. He retreats into a world of his own, finding solace in pleasing others, helping his mother with chores, running errands for neighbors, earning the label Mama's Boy. His father sees this as weakness, berating him as a sissy, and pushing him to be tougher, more like the man he envisions. Despite the cruelty, Gacy shows early signs of ambition. He joins the Boy Scouts, delivers newspapers, and takes odd jobs to earn pocket money, dreaming of a life beyond his father's shadow. But troubling behaviors emerge. At 11, he's caught stealing tools from a neighbor's garage, an act brushed off as childish mischief. Later, he admits to grappling with sexual confusion, feeling drawn to boys in a way that terrifies him in his conservative Catholic home. These feelings are buried deep, a secret he knows his father would never tolerate. By high school at Crawlspace, Gacy transforms into a social chameleon. Gone is the timid, sickly boy. In his place is a talkative, charming teenager who knows how to work a room. Teachers praise his organizational skills, classmates admire his quick wit, and he throws himself into school activities, student council, event planning, even the drama club. He's the kind of kid who can rally a crowd, who seems destined for success. But the tension at home never eases. His father's abuse intensifies, especially when John Sr. drinks, leading to screaming matches that shake the house. At 17, after a particularly brutal argument, Gacy runs away to Las Vegas, seeking escape from his father's wrath. He finds work as a mortuary assistant, a job that exposes him to death in a raw, intimate way. He prepares bodies for burial, handles embalming tools, and later confesses to a strange fascination with the corpses, even lying beside them in the dark. The experience leaves a mark, a chilling precursor to the horrors to come. After a few months, he returns to Chicago, graduates in 1960, and enrolls in business school, determined to build a life of respect and success. In his 20s, Gacy's ambition takes flight. He lands a job as a salesman for the Nunn Bush Shoe Company in Springfield, Illinois, where his charisma makes him a standout. He joins the JCs, a civic organization, and rises to leadership, earning awards for his tireless energy and community service. In 1964, he marries Marlon Myers, a kind-hearted woman whose father owns a chain of KFC restaurants in Waterloo, Iowa. Gacy moves to Iowa, managing a franchise and becoming a local celebrity. He hosts barbecues, organizes charity drives, and charms customers with his hearty laugh and boundless enthusiasm. The couple has 2 children, a son and a daughter, and Gacy seems to have it all: a family, a career, a place in the community. But beneath the surface, trouble brews. Rumors circulate about inappropriate behavior with young male employees at the KFC. In 1968, 2 teenage boys accuse Gacy of sexual assault, alleging he lured them to his home and attacked them. He's arrested, charged with sodomy, and pleads guilty, claiming the boys extorted him. Sentenced to 10 years in Anamosa State Penitentiary, he serves only 18 months, his charm and good behavior earning him early parole in 1970. His marriage to Marlon collapses, and he returns to Chicago, vowing to start over. Back in his hometown, Gacy rebuilds with astonishing speed. In 1972, he marries Carol Hoff, a divorcee with 2 daughters, and starts PDM Contractors, a construction business specializing in home renovations. He moves into a modest split-level house at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue in Norwood Park, a quiet suburb where neighbors wave and kids ride bikes. Gacy becomes a community fixture, hosting block parties with overflowing tables of food, volunteering for the Democratic Party, and shaking hands with local politicians. He begins performing as Pogo the Clown, entertaining at children's hospitals, birthday parties, and parades, his painted face a symbol of joy. Neighbors adore his generosity, calling him John the Great for his willingness to help with home repairs or lend a hand. But some notice oddities: his quick temper when contradicted, his obsession with control, the faint, foul odor wafting from his house. Gacy dismisses complaints, blaming a faulty sewer, and his charm smooths over doubts. He's living a double life, a beloved citizen by day, a predator lurking in the shadows. As he builds his public image, young men in Chicago begin to vanish, and the clock is ticking toward a horror that will shake the nation to its core. It's 1972, and Norwood Park is a picture of suburban tranquility, tidy lawns, friendly neighbors, a place where doors are left unlocked. John Wayne Gacy, now 30, is a cornerstone of this community, running PDM Contractors and hosting barbecues that draw dozens to his home at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue. He's a larger-than-life figure, always ready with a beer or a joke, his clown performances as Pogo a highlight at local events. To those around him, he's the epitome of success, a businessman, a family man, a volunteer who never says no. But inside his split-level house, a nightmare is taking shape. The urges Gacy suppressed in Iowa, the need for power, the thrill of dominance, are breaking free, no longer confined to the shadows of his mind. At crime o'clock, we're stepping into the moment when Gacy becomes a killer, transforming his home into a house of horrors. January 2nd, 1972. Timothy McCoy, a 16-year-old runaway from Nebraska, is passing through Chicago, alone and vulnerable, far from home. Gacy spots him at a Greyhound bus station, his radar tuned to those who won't be missed. He offers Timothy a warm meal, a place to stay for the night, his voice warm and reassuring. Timothy, desperate for kindness, accepts, unaware of the danger. At Gacy's home, the encounter turns deadly. Gacy later claims it was an accident, a struggle over a knife, during a misunderstanding, but the truth is far colder. Timothy becomes Gacy's first victim, his body carefully hidden in the crawlspace beneath the house, covered with lime to mask the smell. The act ignites something in Gacy, a rush of control, a thrill he can't resist. It's the spark that sets his killing spree in motion, a hunger that will claim dozens of lives. Gacy's early crimes are chillingly methodical. He targets young men and boys, often those on the fringes, runaways, drifters, teens estranged from their families. His position as a contractor gives him access to vulnerable youth seeking work at PDM. He lures them with promises of jobs, a drink, or a place to crash, exploiting their trust. Once inside his home, they're at his mercy. In 1973, he kills again, though the exact timeline is murky. Gacy later confesses to losing count of his early victims. One confirmed victim is Michael Bonin, 17, who vanishes in June 1976. Michael was a dreamer, a teen who loved woodworking and hoped to build furniture one day. He worked odd jobs for PDM, trusting Gacy as an employer. Gacy invites him over to discuss a project, and Michael is never seen again, his body joining Timothy's in the crawlspace. By 1975, Gacy's confidence grows. John Butkovich, 17, is a PDM employee, a hard-working kid saving for his first car, a passion that defined him. He's close to his family, especially his younger siblings, who looked up to his determination. In July 1975, John argues with Gacy over unpaid wages, a dispute that leads him to Gacy's home to confront his boss. The visit ends in tragedy. Gacy lures him inside, subdues him, and adds his body to the growing graveyard beneath the house. John's family searches tirelessly, distributing flyers, but Gacy tells police he ran away, a lie they accept without question. The Butkovich family's grief is compounded by the lack of answers, their son's dreams erased in an instant. Gacy's methods are terrifyingly consistent. He invites his victims to his home under the guise of a job interview, a party, or a casual drink. He plies them with alcohol or marijuana, sometimes using chloroform to render them unconscious. He perfects a technique he calls the rope trick, a brutal method involving handcuffs and a garrote, a rope or board twisted to strangle. The act is slow, deliberate, allowing Gacy to savor his control. He buries most victims in the crawlspace, digging shallow graves and covering them with lime to slow decomposition. When neighbors complain of a foul odor, Gacy blames a sewer leak, his charm deflecting suspicion. Police, unaware of the truth, visit his home multiple times, but never search beneath the floorboards. By 1976, Gacy's body count is climbing, and Chicago remains oblivious to the predator in its midst. Gacy's ability to maintain his double life is staggering. By day, he's bidding on construction contracts, shaking hands with local politicians, and performing as Pogo the Clown at community events. His neighbors see a man who never rests, always working or hosting parties. By night, he's a killer, his home a secret tomb. The contrast is chilling, a testament to his ability to deceive. Each murder feeds his need for dominance, pushing him to take greater risks. Young men are vanishing across Chicago's north side, their families left with missing person reports and no answers. No one suspects the man in the clown costume, the man who seems to be everywhere, always smiling. What drove Gacy to turn his home into a graveyard while living as a community hero? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the clock ticking at crime o'clock. By 1976, John Wayne Gacy is at the height of his killing spree, a predator operating with terrifying efficiency in the heart of Chicago's Norwood Park. His home at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue is a fortress of secrets, its crawlspace concealing the remains of over 24 young men and boys. To the outside world, Gacy is a model citizen, a successful contractor, a Democratic Party volunteer, a beloved clown who brings joy to children's hospitals and parades. Neighbors call him John the Great, admiring his endless energy and generosity. But inside his split-level house, the air grows heavy with the stench of death, a secret he guards with meticulous care. At Crime O'Clock, we're tracing the escalation of a killer who thrived in plain sight, leaving a trail of grief that would devastate families across the city. Gacy's victim count rises rapidly through 1976 and 1977, his confidence fueled by years of evading suspicion. In May 1976, Samuel Stapleton, 14, vanishes while walking home from school. Samuel was a shy boy, known for his love of skateboarding and his quiet kindness. Gacy lures him with an offer of a ride, a promise of safety that turns deadly. His body is buried in the Crawlspace, joining the growing toll. That same month, Michael Marino, 14, disappears, a teen with a passion for drawing and a dream of becoming an artist. Gacy targets him at a bus stop, exploiting his vulnerability. William Carroll, 16, is gone by June, a runaway who'd been couch surfing, hoping for a fresh start. Each boy is lured to Gacy's home with promises of work, money, or a place to stay, their trust betrayed in the worst way. In 1977, the killings accelerate. Gregory Godzik, 17, a PDM employee, vanishes in December. Gregory was a car enthusiast, saving every paycheck for his dream car, a Chevy he'd sketched in notebooks. His parents adored his quiet determination, but Gacy saw only an opportunity. Gregory visits Gacy's home to discuss a job, never to return. John SZYC, 19, disappears in January 1977, a college student studying education, eager to teach history. Gacy offers him a construction gig, a lie that leads to his death. John Prestige, 20, is gone by March, an aspiring musician who played guitar at local open mics. Gacy lures him with talk of a music project, a cruel deception. Each victim is chosen for their vulnerability. Teens estranged from families, drifters with few ties, boys who won't be missed right away. Gacy's home is running out of space, forcing him to bury some bodies in his backyard or garage, always covered with lime to mask the smell. Gacy's public life only strengthens his cover. He hosts lavish parties, inviting neighbors, co-workers, and even local politicians to his home, where they dine just feet above his victims. In 1978, he's photographed with First Lady Rosalind Carter at a Democratic Party event, his grin plastered across newspapers. As Pogo the Clown, he's a local celebrity, performing at parades and charity events, his painted face a symbol of joy. Neighbors marvel at his energy. He's up at dawn bidding on contracts, late at night hosting poker games. But his private life is unraveling. His marriage to Carol Hoff ends in 1976, as she grows uneasy with his late-night absences and erratic behavior. She moves out, leaving Gacy alone in the house, a freedom that fuels his spree. The foul odor grows stronger, prompting complaints, but Gacy's excuses, a broken sewer, a damp crawlspace, keep suspicion at bay. The scale of Gacy's crimes is staggering, but his ability to evade detection is what makes him so dangerous. Chicago police receive dozens of missing person reports, but they're overwhelmed, often assuming the boys ran away. Parents like those of Gregory Godzik and John SZYC beg for investigations, distributing flyers and calling daily, but their cases go cold. Gacy's charm and status shield him. He's a respected businessman, a community leader, a man who shakes hands with mayors. The community whispers about the missing boys, but no one points to the clown next door. By 1978, Gacy has killed at least 30 young men, their lives reduced to secrets buried beneath his floorboards. His spree is a masterclass in deception, a chilling reminder that evil can hide behind the most familiar faces. At Crime O'Clock, we're nearing the moment when the truth begins to surface, but the cost of his crimes is already unimaginable. It's 1978, and Chicago's North Side is a city of contrasts, vibrant and bustling, yet haunted by an undercurrent of fear. Dozens of young men have vanished, their families clutching photos and pleading for answers. John Wayne Gacy, now 36, is at the peak of his double life, a respected contractor and community figure by day, a relentless killer by night. His home at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue is a tomb, concealing the remains of over 30 victims in its crawlspace and yard. At Crime O'Clock, we're diving into the investigation that finally put a name to the nightmare, a painstaking effort that exposed one of America's most prolific serial killers and brought a city's grief into focus. In the 1970s, police work is a fragmented system, far from the coordinated efforts of today. Missing person cases are handled by local precincts, with no national database to link patterns across jurisdictions. Chicago's Des Plaines Police Department fields reports of missing teens, but most are dismissed as runaways, a common assumption for young men from troubled backgrounds. Families like those of John Zuic and Gregory Godzik insist their sons wouldn't vanish without a word, but their pleas are met with bureaucracy. Detectives notice a loose pattern: young men, often in their teens or early 20s, disappearing in the Norwood Park area, near construction sites, bars, or bus stops. Some were last seen talking to a man offering work or a ride, but the dots don't connect to John Wayne Gacy, the jovial contractor who hosts community barbecues and dresses as a clown. The breakthrough comes on December 11, 1978, with the disappearance of Robert Piest, a 15-year-old high school student. Robert is a model kid, straight-A student, gymnast, dreamer of becoming an engineer. He works part-time at Nissan Pharmacy in Des Plaines, saving for college. That evening, he tells his mother, Elizabeth, he's stepping outside to talk to a contractor about a summer job. The contractor is John Wayne Gacy, who'd visited the pharmacy to bid on a remodeling project. When Robert doesn't return, Elizabeth reports him missing within hours. Unlike other cases, Robert's disappearance raises immediate alarm. He's not a runaway. He's a kid with a stable, loving family. The Des Plaines police take the case seriously, their instincts telling them something is wrong. On December 12th, police question Gacy, who admits meeting Robert at the pharmacy, but claims the boy left his home after a brief job discussion. His story is polished, his demeanor calm, but detectives sense inconsistencies. They learn of Gacy's 1968 sodomy conviction in Iowa, a red flag that shifts their focus. On December 13th, they obtain a search warrant for 8213 West Summerdale. Inside, the house is cluttered with construction tools, clown costumes, and an odd smell Gacy attributes to a sewer issue. Investigators find disturbing items: a high school ring belonging to John Zuic, a receipt from Nissan Pharmacy, a pair of handcuffs, and a rope tied in a peculiar knot. The crawlspace shows signs of disturbed soil, but no bodies are found yet. Gacy remains composed, offering coffee to officers, his charm disarming. The investigation intensifies. Detectives interview Gacy's employees, many of whom are young men hired for odd jobs. Several describe Gacy's inappropriate advances, offers of money for sex, aggressive behavior when refused. Others mention his temper, especially when questioned about money. Police connect Gacy to other missing boys, like John Butkovich and Gregory Godzik, both PDM workers who vanished after visiting his home. On December 21st, a second search warrant is executed, this time with cadaver dogs. The dogs signal human remains in the crawlspace, and excavation begins. The horror unfolds. Body after body, some reduced to skeletons, are unearthed from the damp, lime-covered soil. By the end, 29 bodies are found in the house and yard, with 4 more later recovered from the Des Plaines River, where Gacy dumped them when space ran out. The scale is unimaginable, a community's worst nightmare laid bare. Gacy is arrested on December 21st, initially for drug possession, but murder charges follow as the body count rises. The investigation reveals a killer who operated under the noses of neighbors, police, and even politicians. Families of the missing, Robert Piest's parents, John Butkovich's siblings, finally have answers, but the truth is devastating. The Des Plaines police, once criticized for dismissing missing person cases, worked tirelessly, coordinating with Chicago PD and the FBI. The case exposes the limitations of 1970s policing: no centralized databases, no DNA testing, just dog detective work. Gacy's charm and status shielded him for years, but one boy's disappearance broke the case open. How did Gacy evade suspicion for so long, hiding dozens of bodies in plain sight? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep unraveling this case at Crime O'Clock. December 1978. John Wayne Gacy is in custody. His house of horrors laid bare to a stunned nation. The Crawlspace at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue has yielded 29 bodies, with 4 more found in the Des Plaines River, a grim tally that marks Gacy as one of America's deadliest serial killers. Chicago is reeling, its residents struggling to reconcile the jovial contractor and clown with the monster who killed 33 young men and boys. At Crime O'Clock, we're following the legal battle that brought Gacy to justice, a trial that captivated the world and revealed the chilling details of his crimes, as well as the courage of those who fought for the victims. Gacy's trial begins on February 6, 1980, in Chicago's Cook County Courthouse, a massive proceeding that draws global attention. He faces 33 counts of murder, the largest number of homicides charged to a single person in U.S. history at the time. The evidence is overwhelming. Bodies recovered from his home, identified through dental records, personal items like John Gacy's ring and Robert Piast's pharmacy receipt, and forensic soil samples linking victims to Gacy's Crawlspace. Prosecutors call survivors to testify. Their story's harrowing. Jeffrey Rignall, a 26-year-old who survived a 1978 attack, recounts being lured to Gacy's home, drugged with chloroform, and assaulted for hours. He escaped, barely alive, and his testimony paints a vivid picture of Gacy's brutality, silencing the courtroom. Other witnesses include former PDM employees who describe Gacy's predatory behavior. Several young men testify about job offers that turned into uncomfortable advances, Gacy offering money for sex, growing aggressive when refused. One employee recalls finding a pair of handcuffs in Gacy's office, a detail that haunts him. The prosecution presents Gacy's own statements, made after his arrest. In a series of confessions to Des Plaines detectives, Gacy describes his killings in chilling detail, admitting to luring boys with promises of work or money. He calls his rope trick a game, describing how he used a garrote to strangle his victims, savoring their helplessness. He claims some deaths were accidents during consensual encounters, a lie the evidence dismantles. The bodies, buried with precision, show premeditation, not chance. The defense argues insanity, claiming Gacy suffered from multiple personality disorder. They call psychiatrists who testify that Gacy's other self, a persona named Jack, committed the murders, driven by uncontrollable impulses. Gacy plays the part, alternating between remorseful and defiant, telling reporters he's a victim of circumstance. But the prosecution counters with forensic experts and psychologists who argue Gacy was fully aware of his actions, his meticulous burial methods, his ability to maintain a double life, and his confessions show a calculating mind, not a fractured one. Prosecutors call family members to testify, their grief a powerful force. Elizabeth Piast, Robert's mother, speaks of her son's love for gymnastics and his dream of becoming an engineer, her voice breaking as she faces Gacy. The Butkovich family shares memories of John's passion for cars, their pain raw as they describe his disappearance. The trial is a media circus, with crowds packing the courthouse and TV cameras capturing every moment. Gacy, often smirking, tries to charm the jury, but his antics fall flat. The prosecution's closing argument focuses on the victims. 33 young men, 26 identified, each with a story. Timothy McCoy, a runaway seeking a better life. John Butkovich, saving for his dream car. Gregory Godzik, a teen with a love for mechanics. John Szyc, aspiring to teach history. The 7 unidentified victims, known only as John Does, haunt the proceedings, their families still searching for closure. On March 13, 1980, after 6 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberates for less than 2 hours. Gacy is found guilty on all 33 counts. The sentencing phase is swift. Prosecutors argue for the death penalty, citing the premeditated nature of his crimes and the suffering of his victims. The defense pleads for life imprisonment, claiming Gacy's mental state warrants mercy. The judge disagrees, sentencing Gacy to death on March 14th, a decision met with applause from some spectators and tears from the families. On death row, Gacy remains a bizarre figure. He grants interviews, painting himself as misunderstood, even selling clown-themed artwork from prison. His confessions provide some closure, confirming the fates of victims like Samuel Stapleton and Michael Marino, but he remains evasive about others, hinting at more killings without specifics. The unidentified victims weigh heavily, a reminder of the lives he erased. The trial exposes the horror of Gacy's crimes, but it also raises questions about how he operated undetected for so long, a predator hiding behind a painted smile and the community's trust. For the families of Robert Piest, John Butkovich, and others, justice is a small step toward healing, but the scars will never fade. What drives a man to kill 33 times? To bury his victims beneath his home while entertaining neighbors above. At Crime O'Clock, we're stepping into the mind of John Wayne Gacy, a labyrinth where charm and cruelty intertwine. Psychologists who studied Gacy describe him as a textbook psychopath, defined by a chilling lack of empathy, a need for control, and a mastery of manipulation. His crimes weren't impulsive. They were meticulously planned, each one a performance of power that fed his ego. But what shaped this monster? Was it a childhood of abuse, a fractured psyche, or something darker, wired into his very being? Understanding Gacy means confronting the uncomfortable truth that evil can hide behind the most disarming smile. Gacy's childhood offers fragments of insight, but no single answer. His father's abuse, verbal lashings, physical beatings, left deep scars. John Sr. called him stupid, sissy, a failure compared to his sisters, crushing his self-esteem. Gacy sought validation through achievement, from Boy Scouts to civic leadership, but the rejection at home festered. His sexual confusion added another layer of turmoil. As a teen, he grappled with attraction to men, a secret he buried in a conservative Catholic family where such feelings were unthinkable. Psychologists suggest this repression turned inward, manifesting as rage and a need to dominate those who represented his desires. His choice of victims, young men, often vulnerable, may have been a twisted way to assert control over his own conflicts. Gacy's psychopathy was evident in his double life. He could charm politicians, entertain children as Pogo the Clown, and run a business while killing without remorse. His clown persona was more than a costume. It was a mask, allowing him to play a role that hid his true nature. In prison, he described his killings as business, a way to assert power over those he saw as inferior. He targeted runaways, drifters, and employees, boys unlikely to be missed, because they were easy to manipulate. His rope trick was a ritual, a slow, deliberate act that let him savor control. Psychiatrists noted his narcissism, a belief he was smarter than everyone, even as police closed in. His ability to compartmentalize was staggering, killing by night, clowning by day, never betraying a hint of guilt. Comparisons to other killers provide context. Like Ted Bundy, Gacy used charm to lure victims, but his crimes were more localized, centered on his home. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, he was driven by control, but Gacy showed no remorse, unlike Dahmer's fleeting guilt. His ability to blend in was unique, hosting parties while bodies decomposed below, shaking hands with Rosalind Carter while families searched for their sons. Some experts argue he had borderline personality traits, with swings between charm and rage, but his calculated methods point to psychopathy. His confessions, given to police and journalists, were laced with manipulation, blaming victims or claiming accidents. Even in defeat, he craved attention, selling clown paintings and granting interviews to stay in the spotlight. Gacy's psychology raises haunting questions. Was he born a predator? Or did his father's abuse and societal pressures shape him? His need for control, rooted in a childhood of powerlessness, drove him to kill, but his lack of empathy defies explanation. His story challenges us to look beyond appearances, to question the masks people wear. Do you believe Gacy's confessions revealed his true motives? Or was he manipulating to the end? Let us know in the comments, and let's keep exploring the shadows at Crime O'Clock. May 10th, 1994, Stateville Correctional Center, Illinois. John Wayne Gacy's reign of terror ends in a sterile execution chamber, 14 years after his conviction. Sentenced to death for the murders of 33 young men and boys, he faces lethal injection, his final moments marked by defiance. He maintains his innocence, claiming he was framed or that others used his home to dump bodies. But the evidence, bodies in his crawlspace, survivor testimonies, his own confessions, is irrefutable. At 12:58 a.m., the sentence is carried out. Outside, crowds gather, some cheer, waving signs. Others hold vigils, mourning the lives lost. At Crime O'Clock, we're reflecting on the aftermath of a case that changed Chicago forever, leaving scars that linger for families and a community betrayed. Gacy's execution brings closure for some, but for the families of his victims, the pain endures. Elizabeth Piest, whose son Robert's disappearance sparked the investigation, speaks of relief tempered by grief, justice for her son, but no end to her loss. The Butkovich family mourns John, whose love for cars defined his short life. The parents of Gregory Godzik, Samuel Stapleton, and Michael Marino grapple with memories of their sons, boys who dreamed of college, art, and adventure. 7 victims remain unidentified, known only as John does. Their families left in limbo, a wound that Gacy's death doesn't heal. In 2011, DNA testing identifies one victim as William Bundy, 19, a construction worker with a love for music, bringing belated closure to his family. But the others remain nameless, a haunting reminder of Gacy's toll. The aftermath reshapes Chicago's approach to missing persons. In the 1970s, families like those of John Zyc and John Prestige faced indifference, their cases dismissed as runaways. Gacy's crimes expose flaws in the system, a lack of coordination, an assumption that young men chose to disappear. The Des Plaines Police Department, once criticized, earns praise for its persistence, but the case prompts reforms. New protocols prioritize missing person reports, especially for youth, and national databases, like the FBI's NCIC, emerge to track patterns. The case also highlights the danger of ignoring prior convictions. Gacy's 1968 Iowa sentence should have raised red flags, but he was free to kill again. Gacy's crimes leave a cultural mark, turning his clown persona into a symbol of fear. His story fuels the true crime genre, with books like Killer Clown by Terry Sullivan and documentaries drawing millions. But the fascination sparks debate. Families of victims, like Robert Piest's, criticize media portrayals that focus on Gacy's double life, urging a focus on the lives he took. Timothy McCoy's hope for a fresh start, John Butkovich's dreams of cars, Gregory Godzik's love for mechanics. Norwood Park grapples with its own reckoning. Neighbors stunned that John the Great was a monster. The case strengthens victim advocacy, leading to organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, founded in 1984, which support families and push for justice. Gacy's aftermath is a call to listen, to act, and to never forget the vulnerable. John Wayne Gacy's crimes didn't end with his execution. At Crime O'Clock, we're examining the legacy of a killer who redefined our understanding of evil, forcing a nation to confront the danger hidden in plain sight. His case transformed law enforcement, exposing the need for better coordination in missing person cases. In the 1970s, police departments worked in silos, often dismissing young men as runaways. Gacy's 33 murders changed that, pushing for national databases like the FBI's NCIC, launched in the late 1960s, but expanded post-Gacy to track missing persons and crime patterns. The Des Plaines Police Department's dogged work in 1978 set a precedent, showing how persistence could crack even the most elusive cases. New protocols emerged, prioritizing reports of missing youth and requiring cross-jurisdictional cooperation, ensuring predators like Gacy couldn't hide as easily. Gacy's impact on culture is both profound and troubling. His clown persona, once a symbol of joy, becomes a nightmare archetype, inspiring horror tropes from Stephen King's It to countless films and shows. Books like The Man Who Killed Boys and Netflix's Conversations with a Killer draw millions, but they raise ethical questions. Do these portrayals glorify Gacy, focusing on his charisma and double life while sidelining his victims? Families, like those of Robert Piest and John Butkovich, speak out, urging storytellers to center the lives lost. Robert's dream of engineering, John's passion for cars, Timothy McCoy's hope for a new start. The media's fascination with Gacy's clown persona risks turning him into a dark celebrity, overshadowing the human cost of his crimes, a debate that continues to challenge true crime ethics today. The case also galvanizes victim advocacy. In the 1970s, families of the missing often faced their grief alone, with police dismissing their concerns. Gacy's crimes lead to a surge in support networks, from local counseling groups to national organizations. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, founded in 1984, owes its roots to cases like Gacy's, offering resources for families and pushing for legislative change. Advances in DNA technology, spurred by the need to identify Gacy's John Doe's, help solve cold cases. In 2011, William Bundy, a 19-year-old victim, is identified through DNA, giving his family answers after decades. But 7 victims remain unidentified, their families still searching, a painful reminder of the work left undone. Gacy's legacy is a warning. Evil can hide behind a smile, a handshake, a clown's costume. His ability to deceive, charming politicians, entertaining children, killing in secret, challenges us to question appearances. His crimes expose society's blind spots, from ignoring vulnerable youth to trusting authority figures too readily. Norwood Park, once a proud community, struggles to heal, its residents haunted by the knowledge that they lived beside a monster. Gacy's story is a call to action, to improve systems, to listen to families, to protect the vulnerable. It's a reminder to honor the victims, to keep their stories alive. Has the media's portrayal of Gacy gone too far, turning a killer into a legend? Share your views on true crime ethics in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going at Crime O'Clock. John Wayne Gacy was a paradox, a man who brought laughter as Pogo the Clown while hiding a darkness that claimed 33 lives. His crimes shocked Chicago, tore families apart, and forced a nation to confront the reality of evil in everyday life. At Crime O'Clock, we tell these stories to honor the victims. Robert Piest, who dreamed of building bridges as an engineer. John Bukovich, whose love for cars defined his youth. Timothy McCoy, a runaway seeking a fresh start. Gregory Godzik, a teen with a passion for mechanics. Samuel Stapleton, a skateboarder with a quiet kindness. Their dreams, their hopes, their futures. These are the heart of this story, and we will always remember them. Thank you for joining us on this haunting journey through one of history's darkest chapters. Next time, we'll dive into the mystery of the Zodiac Killer, whose cryptic ciphers continue to baffle investigators decades later. If you found this deep dive compelling, support Crime O'Clock by visiting our Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Your support keeps our clock ticking, bringing you more stories that demand to be told. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you when the clock strikes again. Tick-tock.